I am joined by Jerod Jackson, Vice President, Revenue Management with ZMC Hotels, coming to us from Muskogee, Oklahoma. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm going to make it.
Good. Living the dream, as I like to say.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about Scottsdale, and you're not in Scottsdale where one of your offices are. You should be.
Yes. I look forward to the time of getting back to Scottsdale and being with our locally based sales crew.
Well, how have you been throughout the pandemic?
Like everyone else, I honestly never could have imagined something of this scale and magnitude taking place. I mean, I've been in the hospitality industry for 31 years. And, through the various ups and downs of the 90s and early 2000s, and then the housing glut in 08, 09, 10, this is a completely different scenario. But it's been great in some regards. I find myself extremely fortunate in being able to be in the hospitality industry during this time period. Seeing how not only people within my own organization, but also people in other organizations have really stepped back, taken to heart what they do, how they approach things, and really the opportunity to kind of reevaluate what it is people want to get out of not only themselves, but out of what they do in business. It's been a good growing period, I'll say that. It's been tiring and frustrating, but we're definitely on an incline, and it feels good right now.
So quickly tell us about your hotels.
Sure. We are a middle-sized management company. We actually own 36 of our 38 assets. So we are the owner and manager of those properties. We have 2 third-party management properties currently. We're located in 12 different states, and we represent 8 of the major brand families. So we touch pretty much everybody. And we're nicely placed in terms of geography. We've got 11 or 12 hotels in the Southeast. We've got about 12 hotels in the upper Midwest Great Lakes region. And then we have another 14, 15 hotels down in the Southwest, primarily Arizona, but also we consider that region inclusive of Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma.
All brands or any independents?
We do have a couple of independents. We have 3. One is a small boutique-ish property. The other 2 are pretty good size. One is a 161-room select service water park. So we actually have a large-scale water park that's part of our facility. And then the other one is, I would call it more of a focused service. It's a waterfront location, but I would say a step above, say, a Hampton Inn, but not quite full service.
So how has it gone with you and your team, or, how has your job, has it evolved? What kind of changes did you have to make? You're laughing.
Hey, the buzzword of the last year is pivot. Right? Pivot. Everybody pivot. And, the whole thing shook out in a very interesting way. For us as a company, we were actually in a spring meeting of our executive team in Minnesota with our ownership at the time, the week that things were beginning to devolve. And we immediately made changes or started making changes that week as things began to kind of move. So as a company, yes, we had to take some austerity measures. We had to trim some staff, et cetera. I myself evolved my role. So for several months, I was also a vice president of operations, overseeing one of our regions while I was doing this. And everybody basically had to put on 12 more hats, which was great, but we all pulled together and we made it through. So I think the biggest change here now on this end is we are doing a little bit more with a little bit less, which I think is kind of consistent across the industry. But in most cases, it's allowed us to work smarter and more efficiently. I think like we said before, you step back, you look at the processes and the practices that you had in place prior to the pandemic, and you get to really evaluate what's truly efficient, what's not, what really makes sense, and what doesn't. And so you cut out a bunch of that old fat.
Were you able to keep your team?
Yes, fortunately, on the revenue and e-commerce side, I have a team of 3 folks with me. They've all stayed on. We decided to make the change this last year, moving away from any brand-supported revenue management services. So by January 1, we moved all of our hotels to in-house revenue management. So we do it all internally.
And are you looking at any kind of automation for, and it's a small group, and there's just so many tools out there, and you know, I think a lot of hotels are looking at how to automate things.
For sure. I mean, automation is extremely important because, again, doing more with less. Time is probably the most valuable commodity that you have, and once it's gone, you can't get any more. So with us, I'm currently evaluating several different tools which help to automate reporting processes, at least. Since we have so many different brand families we work with, the data is desperate, so it's not in the same format. So just looking at a way to be able to unify that so that we can extract the results, analyze them much more quickly, and then move forward. And it puts everybody more on a level playing field so that we can speak to non-property level folks, and they can read data for an IHG versus a Hilton versus a Marriott, and to them it will all look the same.
Yeah. Well, how's pricing and forecasting been going? I mean, you're in a diverse locations, diverse brands, independents.
Yeah. It's, again, I think because of our geographic diversity, we've been very fortunate. We are in we're in secondary and tertiary markets, right? So we were able to avoid some of the major crush that you're getting, say, in a New York, Chicago, LA area. So for us, we were able to see shortly after things began, you still price relative to your market. You still can take into consideration your amenities, services, position of your brand against everyone else. But for the most part, nobody went to the bottom. Most of our markets have stayed fairly consistent. We're actually in a time period right now where, like everyone else, we're comparing to 2019, right? We're knocking on 2019's doorstep, in terms of occupancy rate, revenue, et cetera. I just held meetings for a dozen hotels yesterday, and they're all pacing above their 2019 numbers, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, we're coming out of this thing.
Yeah, we are. I think with the rate of vaccination that's been taking place, states continuing to open up, I think a big thing that's going to help is states jumping on board and deciding to end the federal supplement to unemployment, which it may be harmful to some, but selfishly speaking, within our industry, as well as with many others, we need people to come back to work, right? Yep. The business is there, the demand is there. We just need people in to help facilitate things.
So you're looking at a pretty strong summer, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think this summer is going to be pretty fantastic. The fall should be strong still. We don't do a lot of large scale group because, again, the majority of our hotels are focus service, select service. So we don't have large function space. We do have a few hotels that have sizable space. We're seeing good advance booking activity, small self-contained meetings returning, SMERF, social. So I think the fall will be good. Next year is what I'm really anticipating is going to be a game changer for everybody. As soon as you open the gate to international travel, that's when things are really going to take off.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Well, Jerod, I appreciate your time, sir. And let's stay in touch.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.